Have you ever really thought about what happens when you buy a stock? You see a company you like, you pull up an app, you tap a button, and then what? Okay, let's get into this, because that one little click kicks off this incredible, high-speed journey right through the heart of the financial system. We're going to map out that entire trip from your screen all the way to the final close.
So you did it. You hit buy. For you, the action is over in a flash. But for your order, well, the real adventure is just getting started. It's about to travel from your screen through a whole series of complex systems and out into the global marketplace. Let's follow the path it takes.
And that journey really begins the moment you decide to invest, the moment you decide you want to be a part owner in a business. But you can't just walk into that world alone. First things first, you need a guy.
Yeah, you can't just stroll onto the floor of the New York Stock Exchange and start yelling out orders. It doesn't work that way. You need a licensed brokerage firm to be your intermediary, your guide into the market. And the very first choice you have to make is what kind of guide you really need.
And this is your first big decision. Are you going to go with a full-service broker? They're kind of like the all-in-one guide, offering advice, research, the whole package. Or do you go with a discount broker? They're more like a no-frills transporter, just focused on getting your order placed as cheaply as possible. It's that classic trade-off, right? Paying for guidance versus paying just for execution.
Next, you've got to choose your account type. A cash account is, well, exactly what it sounds like. You're trading with your own money, paying for 100% of the cost. But with a margin account, things get interesting. You can actually borrow from your broker to invest more. This introduces something called leverage, which is a really powerful tool we're going to talk more about in a bit. So the question here is, are you trading only with your own funds, or are you borrowing to amplify your position?
All right, you've picked your guide and your account is set up. Now it's time to give them specific instructions for your trade's mission. And this isn't just about what to buy, but how you want to buy it. These instructions, they're called orders.
The most common instruction by far is the market order. It's super simple. It basically tells your broker, get me the stock right now at whatever the best price is. The priority here is speed and just getting the trade done, not necessarily the exact price you pay down to the penny.
So a market order is your tool for speed. But what if the price is more important to you than getting it done this very second? That's when you use a limit order, which says, look, only buy the stock at this price or better. And what about playing defense? For that, you'd use a stop order. It's an instruction that kicks in to sell your stock if the price drops to a certain level, protecting you from bigger losses. See? Each order is a different strategy: speed, price, or protection.
With its instructions locked in, your order now leaves the safety of your broker and heads for the main event, the marketplace, the arena where buyers and sellers from all over the world meet. But, not all arenas are built the same way.
Your order is going to land in one of two main arenas. The first is an auction market, like the New York Stock Exchange. You can literally think of a real auction, where a central figure, a specialist, matches up all the public buy and sell orders. The second is a dealer market, or what's called over-the-counter. Here, it's more like a street full of different shops, where each dealer posts their own prices to buy and sell a stock from their own inventory.
Now, in that auction market, the NYSE, there's this key player called the specialist. This person has a really fascinating dual role. They act as a broker, matching public orders, but they also act as a dealer, using their own money to buy and sell if there's an imbalance of orders. Their whole job is to keep the market fair and moving smoothly.
So how do the dealers in that other market make their money? It's all about something called the bid-ask spread. The bid is the price they'll pay you for a stock, and the ask is the price they'll sell it to you. The ask is always a little bit higher, and that tiny difference, that spread, is how they make the profit. For you, the investor, it's one of those subtle, often invisible costs of making a trade.
Okay, success. Your trade has been executed. A buyer and a seller have been matched. But the journey isn't quite over. Now your trade has to make its way home, a process called settlement, and it's governed by some very specific rules and protections.
So here's something most new investors don't realize. Even though your app says the trade is done, the actual exchange of your money for the stock isn't instantaneous. This whole behind-the-scenes process is called settlement. Now it's getting faster, but traditionally it's taken a couple of days for these big clearinghouses to formally transfer the cash and update the official ownership records. It's the final, official step that makes those shares legally yours.
This entire system works because it's built on a foundation of trust, and that trust is enforced by a team of regulators. You can think of them as the referees of the game.
The big three are the SEC, which is like the top cop for the securities industry, the SIPC, which insures your brokerage account, and the NASDD, which regulates the brokers and dealers themselves. And at the top of that team is the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC. Their entire mission is to maintain fair markets and to protect you, the investor. They do that by administering all the securities laws and investigating violations like insider trading. They are the ultimate enforcer of the rules of the game.
So that's the main road that every single trade travels. But there are other, more advanced paths, sort of like unlocking new levels in a game. Let's briefly look at two of them, using leverage with margin and betting against a stock by shorting.
Remember that margin account we talked about way back in the beginning? Well, this is what it's for. Margin trading is the formal term for using money you borrow from your broker to buy more stock than you could with just your own cash. It's a way to amplify your potential gains, but it also amplifies your potential losses.
But you can't just borrow an unlimited amount of money. The Federal Reserve steps in to set the rules. For any new purchase on margin, at least 50% of the money has to be your own. The other half can be borrowed. And what's interesting is this 50% rule has actually been the standard for managing market risk since 1974.
And finally, there's short selling, which is a way to bet that a stock's price will actually go down. So instead of buying low and selling high, you borrow a stock, sell it immediately, and then you hope to buy it back later at a lower price to return it to the lender. If you do, you pocket the difference. It's basically the entire trading journey, but in reverse.
So, from a simple tap on your phone to the complex dance of brokers, specialists, and regulators, that is the journey of your trade. It's a pretty remarkable system of technology and trust when you think about it. The question is, now that you have the map, where will your own investment journey begin?